fun fact about Sonic Adventure 2. Originally, Tails wasn't going to be in it at first, but after a ton of fan outcry, Sonic Team radically changed the game to include several new characters, such as Tails. But due to time constraints, they couldn't give Tails exclusive gameplay to the character. So, what did they do to get around this? They reused Dr. Robotnik's gameplay and stuck Tails inside a walking tornado mecha to blast the living crap out of everything. Okay, now aside from the idea being so hilariously ludicrous, it was actually pretty interesting to see Tails' mechanical interest become the main focus of the gameplay through his tornado mecha. What's also nice is that his character development from the original Sonic Adventure continued, as he used his mechanical skills to save the day and grew even more independent to the point where he even took on Dr. Robotnik after the latter seemingly killed Sonic, showing that if he had to, Tails would defend the world in Sonic's place.
Sonic! Sonic is asking me for the first time to do something for him! I won't let him down! I won't give up!
This really showed how far Tails had come since being a fanboy who couldn't stop following Sonic all the damn time back in Sonic 2, since he can now defend Mobius from whatever threatens it without always relying on Sonic for help. And to me, that's a really damn heartwarming moment. He also gets points for going through Mission Street, which has my favorite music track in the Sonic Adventure games. Okay, while I don't love Sonic Adventure like a very, very large majority of the Sonic fanbase, I will give the game credit on one thing, and that one thing is actually giving Tails character development in his story. Yes, no matter what people on the internet will tell you, someone besides Shadow and E102 actually got character development in this series. Now, for most of his story, Tails did what he had always done and tried to be like Sonic, even to the point of going down the same paths and levels as him and fighting the same bosses. But after the egg carrier starts going down near the end, Tails is forced to rely on himself for a change, as he has to take Amy down safely while Sonic stays aboard in the carrier. After returning to Station Square, he finds out that Dr. Robotnik launched a nuclear missile to hit Station Square. But fortunately, the missile is pretty faulty, however could detonate in a few minutes, so Tails races to disable it before Robotnik catches up to it and destroys the city. Tails disables the missile, thus saving the city, but now for the first time in the series has to face off Dr. Robotnik all by himself in a giant mecha. And despite all the odds against him, he defeats Robotnik's gigantic mech of doom and is cheered on and celebrated by the people around him. Now, while Sonic Adventure had hilariously bad dialogue and really silly animations, the fact that this moment still came across as genuinely heartwarming is actually quite a marvel. Tails learned here to believe in himself instead of relying on Sonic all the time, and this was the first step in a change in Tails' character, where he became more focused on helping out through means other than being just like Sonic, and heck, his character development even gave a lesson in real life, that if you really want to succeed in the real world, you need to have confidence in yourself and should follow your passion instead of just copying someone else in the hope that you'll get the same success as they did. Okay, maybe I'm reading into this a little bit too much, but even so, this was such an awesome moment for Tails, and it would have been higher, except the character development kinda got thrown out the window after the Adventure duo, and Tails started acting like Sonic again for a couple of games. Still, at least Sonic Team actually did try giving Tails character development, which is better than staying one note and being ignored by everyone all the damn time. In order to stop the rage of many a retro Sonic fan, I am finally going to talk about the good old Mega Drive games, specifically Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. When he was introduced in Sonic 2, Tails got a lot of praise for being a great sidekick to the Blue Blur and allowing two people to play as Sonic at once, and to this day, every single time I play through Sonic 2, I always play as Tails. But to be fair, he was pretty limited in that game. When the player controlled Tails in single player, he didn't fly for whatever reason, he didn't have any exclusive abilities or attacks, hell, he couldn't even go Super Saiyan. He was just essentially a cute fox version of Sonic at that point. But then Sonic 3 and Knuckles came along and made Tails a unique character. For the first time in a console game, Tails could actually fly whenever the player controlled him, giving him the ability to reach areas neither Sonic nor Knuckles could reach. What was also unique about his flying ability is that when you hit enemies from down below while flying, it actually hurt or destroyed them, which led to a very clever way to beat one of the game's earlier bosses. Not only that, but the guy could also swim in water by repeatedly mashing the jump button. Okay, it was only useful in the game's second zone, but it was still awesome. And best of all, if you collected all the Chaos Emeralds and Super Emeralds in the complete version of the game, Tails could transform into Super Tails, an invincible golden fox who had 4 golden flickies to attack enemies for him because he's that damn awesome. Too bad he never appeared in the games after that, but who knows? Again, if Sega actually make a Tails game, he might show up. Well, once again, a man can dream. Before I get on to number 2, I do need to talk about the worst Tails moment, so you can understand why this particular moment is so high. What is the worst Tails moment, you may ask? Sonic 06. Yes, I'm finally going to talk about that game. Now, while I consider the game as a whole to be just between decent and hilariously awful, the worst thing about it has to be its story, which is essentially really, really awful Final Fantasy fanfiction with an incredibly convoluted plot. And probably its worst issue was that the majority of the characters in the plot did nothing and ended up wasting space. And Tails just happened to be the worst in that case. He contributed nothing to the plot, his gameplay wasn't that fun, his English voice was really freaking annoying, he just acted like Sonic again and didn't use his inventions, and all he did was state the obvious even more than everyone else in the series did. Thankfully, after this madness, Sega and Sonic Team decided to get the franchise back on track, and this included fixing problems the character had gotten as of late and consigning most of them to the background for a few games. And since Tails was such a popular character, he didn't get put in a bus like everyone else, and had a lot of his problems fixed. This massive improvement was first shown in Sonic Unleashed, where he was back to using his mechanical talents to help Sonic for the first time since Adventure 2, as seen with the Miles Electric used to locate the Chaos Emerald temples, and used his tornado to fly Sonic around the world in a few pretty fun missions reminiscent of Panzer Dragoon. Not only that, but he actually contributed to the plot this time around, and his voice became far less annoying, which is kinda strange considering that he had the same English actress as he did in Sonic 06. Maybe his actress just got better at acting. He still stated the obvious, yes, but at least he did it far less than he did before. And, well, stating the obvious is pretty inevitable since this franchise is meant to be accessible to kids. But that was just the beginning. And then, Sonic Colors happened. Okay, I sadly haven't played this game, I really want to though, but I have watched the cutscenes on YouTube and they are utterly frigging hilarious, especially where Tails is concerned. I should mention that a lot of the credit for this should go towards the writers of the game's script for making things fresh and not cringeworthy, and Tails is at the time new voice actress Kate Higgins, who gave Tails a deeper, less annoying voice. Yes, it does sound a bit forced at times, but hey, at least Tails actually does sound like a dude for once. Now before I get onto the hilarious parts, I should focus on Tails as a whole first. Like in Unleashed, he helps out Sonic not by trying to be like him, but again using his mechanical talents to assist via using the Miles Electric to help translate the Wisp's language, although a few kinks still have to be worked out.
He says his name is Talks-a-Lot, and he's from a faraway soda, and where flowers water them with dances.
There's also the fact that he actually does contribute massively to the plot this time around, probably since he and Sonic are the only two recurring protagonists to appear in this game. And then there's the jokes. I have utterly no idea what inspired the writers to do this, but for whatever reason they decided to make Tails a bit of a sarcastic straight man in this game. And it works! It's actually pretty interesting to see a very different kind of interpretation of a longtime character, but even so, it's actually frigging awesome to see Tails actually own Sonic at some moments. Seriously, listen to this gem and try convince me otherwise that Sonic hasn't been owned to some degree.
Well, good job to you on inventing a translator that allowed us to speak to the aliens and figure out exactly what we needed to do so we weren't running around the park looking like idiots. Oh no, wait, that was me.
But probably the best thing about this whole game in terms of Tails is that we really get to see the kind of relationship that Sonic and Tails have. In the past we've seen hints here and there, but now that it's just the two of them, we get to see how they really interact with one another, and it's actually heartwarming. Even though the fate of the world is at stake, these two treat it like it's just another day at the store for them. But there are two specific moments that are really awesome in my opinion. When Sonic was forced to fight a mind-controlled Tails, and when he pushed Tails out into the shuttle before fighting the final boss. In both of these moments, we really saw how the two were essentially brothers by now instead of just crazy fanboy stalker and tired celebrity like at the beginning, since Sonic didn't want Tails to get hurt in either case and just wanted to protect him. And that, my friends, is the utter pinnacle of heartwarming in this series. And in fact, it would have been number 1 if it wasn't for, well, what is number 1. But even despite all that, it's still damn awesome. But before we get to the grand finale, how about we do ourselves a little recap? It's time for the countdown recap! Number 10, his entire appearance in Copping a Feel in the Sonic OVA. Number 9, saving the world in Tails' adventure. Number 8, actually doing something for once in Sonic SAT-AM. Number 7, being in Sonic CD because he's that much of a badass. Number 6, holy flipping crap, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Number 5, driving a frigging mecha in Sonic Adventure 2. Number 4, learning to believe in himself in Sonic Adventure 1. Number 3, becoming a unique character in Sonic 3 Knuckles. Number 2, being hilarious, heartwarming, helpful, and awesome all at once in Sonic Colors. And now it's time for number 1!